to another edition of TM3 Impact. My name is Tomas Martinez, and I am super fired up because I have Solar Hing here. He is the publisher of Charlotte Luxury Home Magazine. He's the publisher of Charleston Luxury Home Magazine and the new CEO for Luxury Home Magazine Corporate. Solar, I'm super pumped to have you in San Antonio. Glad you're here, my friend.
Super excited to be here.
Man. So, Solar, we met, let's go back because we met 6 years ago. Because how long have you had a magazine now? Has it been six?
So
Your first magazine?
Yeah, we met the very first time in our first conference, which was in 2012. So more than 6 years
this
ago.
is 8 years ago, almost 9.
Yeah, so Brad and I were just talking about that, actually. So 2012 was the first conference, and
Okay.
I remember meeting you, Christina, and a bunch of the other publishers there.
Yeah, so now, so what with that, let's go back because I love hearing people's stories, Solar.
Yeah.
So I need to know, I know you were a soccer guy. I want to go back to Solar, like, what was 15, 16-year-old Solar like? Tell me about that guy.
So 15, 16-year-old me, wow, I was really clueless.
Okay.
I really...
So was I?
I had no idea what I was going to do. You know what? 15, 16 was really kind of the beginning of when I first discovered soccer.
Okay.
I probably started playing soccer when I was around 14, 15 years old.
Okay. So that's a little later than most people.
It is a little later.
Yes.
And I honestly didn't get into sports until much later on.
What was the reason?
Just my parents didn't know anything about it. We just never really... It was never really part of our lives. I mean, because we immigrated here when I was 5.
Okay. From
Cambodia.
Cambodia, okay.
Yeah. And so, from 5 until I was probably about maybe 10 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't do any sports or physical activity. And the only reason I got into it was one of my teachers asked my dad about putting me into a baseball program with one of her sons.
Okay.
So I started playing baseball and played for several years, really loved it. And it was really the only sport I knew.
Baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it. And so I played it for a while until, the 9th grade?
Okay.
Yeah. And I discovered
That's
soccer.
14, 15. Yep.
Discovered soccer. And started playing it and just never looked back.
And you loved it.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Fell in love immediately.
Yeah.
Couldn't wait to play it. Played it every day and played it up until 2012.
Oh, dang.
When I tore my ACL.
You were doing rec leagues.
I was doing like adult leagues
Oh my
competitively.
gosh.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I was playing competitively up until, rec leagues in, 2009, 10 time frame.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was fun.
That's cool. Now, I didn't know about you were 5 years old when you first moved here. I didn't know that story. So
Yeah.
tell me, do you remember that at 5? Because, people have memories, sharp memories of, do you remember that and starting school for the first time?
That's a great question. And honestly, like the only thing I remember at 5 years old, like getting into this country,
Yeah.
was getting off the airplane. And I've told like my parents this, and I've told Jessica this too.
Yeah.
The only memory I have is carrying a Pan Am bag,
Okay.
because that's what we flew on, and walking through the jetway getting off the airplane. That's my earliest memory
Yeah.
that I can think of going back.
And then you start school right away? I mean, because you were 5, so you probably started at first grade then.
So I started kindergarten.
Yeah.
So the people that helped sponsor us into Charlotte, got us connected with the school system and basically just hooked us up and got me started in kindergarten. I remember vaguely the school that I went to.
Yeah.
And the only thing I remember about it is the little nap areas.
Yeah.
And I remember this big giant oak tree like out in the play yard area. Where all the kids would basically kind of go out and play.
Yeah.
That's really the only memory I had of kindergarten because I was only there for that year at that school.
Okay.
And then I transferred to another school for first grade through 5th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that transition hard? Do you remember it being hard? Do you remember it being easy?
It wasn't. It was fine. It just,
Yeah.
I just knew I had to do it. So, I
Brothers and sisters? Wait, let me ask. Did you have brothers and sisters that were doing this too?
I do. I have one younger brother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
he's, let's see, he's 3 years younger than me.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so we kind of went through it together. It was definitely challenging, right? Because I didn't speak the language, obviously, then.
Right.
But we were in an ESL program,
Yeah.
right? And then picked up English fairly quickly, right?
Yeah.
2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's really it. I transitioned to a different school from 1st to 5th, and then another school 6th grade, and then another school for junior high.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's cool, man.
it was amazing.
So my dad, his story, I had him on the podcast in the very beginning, and my dad was 8 years old when he moved from Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
and he moved to New York, and he had on a suit, and they flew to New York in the winter.
Wow.
Yeah. So he got off that plane after being in Puerto Rico his whole life and landed in the middle of winter in New York.
What did he think?
It's cold. He's like, what is all this stuff on the ground? Like he'd never seen snow,
Yeah. Yeah.
But those are those stories, hearing those stories from my dad and having those experiences always, it always
It's
cracks
really
me
cool.
up. Yeah. Okay, so now we fast forward, you graduate high school, you start figuring out what you want to do. What was the first job as you start figuring out your career? What did you get into?
Yeah. So honestly, let's see. I went to school. I thought I was going to do engineering, right? And I really thought I was going to design cars.
That's right. You're a car guy.
I'm a car guy. I'm a
Yeah.
huge car guy.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I remember as far back as like the 2nd grade, 1st or 2nd grade, having an argument with friends in the play yard about which car was faster.
Okay.
And this is the time when like Lamborghinis were huge, right? They had the Countach and all these other models out there. And so I've always been into cars, and I always thought, one day I'm going to do something related to this, right?
Yeah.
And I went to school, I studied engineering, didn't realize that was really the path I needed to take to design cars.
Yeah.
But I didn't end up doing the right engineering. I studied chemical engineering.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, and then I thought I was going to do something in the medical field. So I was just really unsure, right?
Yeah.
But the problem was I just didn't have direction as to what I needed to do to get to being able to design cars is really what it was. So I left school and I did some, various jobs. I worked at, retail. I worked in mortgage, worked in banking. So I just kind of made my way through it, and just I was also really into technology.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my love for cars, technology, kind of all came together. And then, for me, what I'm doing now is vastly different than how I pictured where my life would end up, right?
Right. Yeah, for
And
sure.
it's just so surprising because, like, I know they say, like, when you go to college, most people really don't know what they're really going to do.
Right.
And I just really should have stuck with really what I loved, which was cars.
Yeah.
But I didn't, and that's okay. And
That's
you never
okay.
know where you end up, right?
Right. Right.
But yeah, it's really great. I mean, the big thing is really, we came from nothing, right? Coming to this country with really nothing.
Yeah.
And my parents worked hard to kind of get us to where we are, get a good education. And for me, like, I'm just proud that we've been able to accomplish what we've accomplished as a family. And now for me, like, this is giving me an opportunity to be able to help my family and help my parents. They're retired now, and just be able to do things that they never had a chance to do before.
Yeah.
And to me, that's really one of the most important things.
No, for real.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's I love that, Solar. I love that. Do you remember what got you into cars? Was it somebody? Was it a poster? Like what? How did that even click for you?
It was a poster.
It was a poster.
Yeah, I saw a poster of a Lamborghini on a friend's wall,
Yeah.
and I thought that's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Right? It's incredible. And at that instant, I knew, like, wow, this is something different,
Yeah.
And I've been into cars ever since. I
Yeah.
mean, I would say probably the two things I keep up with throughout most of my life is what's going on in the car industry
Yeah.
and what's going on in technology.
Yeah.
I've always kept up with that.
That's cool.
And so it's still something that I'm really excited and just passionate about, just like in my spare time.
Well, it's a great hobby to have, to see what's going on and to know, because it always keeps you curious. It keeps you learning. So I love that.
Yeah.
Talk about how did you find Luxury Home Magazine? Because I always share my story, but I'm curious, what was your story on how you even got to the point where you found that you could be a publisher and own a magazine?
That's a good story, right? So Jessica and I decided to take a trip out west. It was a vacation trip. This was a few years before our first Andrew was born.
Okay.
So we went out to California and we drove down the coast. So we basically flew into like the LA area, spent some time there, drove a little south, spent some time, and just all the way down. So along the way, we ended up picking up a one of those luxury real estate publications. I think it was put out by Prudential.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And it showcased like their luxury listings on the coast, right?
Yep.
It was incredible, beautiful homes, and we've always been into real estate.
Yeah.
So both Jessica and I really love the real estate world. I mean, we would go to open houses just to kind of look at houses just for fun and just really. I mean, she studied architecture for a little while, and I've done drafting and things back in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really something that we both really loved.
Yeah.
And we picked up this magazine, and when we came home, we kind of just forgot about it, right? Because it sat in our luggage for a while. And then, I want to say it might have been a year later.
What year was that, by the way, that trip?
I think it was probably 2010.
Okay, all right.
Maybe early 2011.
Okay.
But then we thought about, okay, well, in real estate, like, why isn't there something, we kind of remember the magazine, why isn't there something kind of like what we saw with that publication out here in Charlotte? So Jessica went and she dug up the magazine and she found it and we looked through it. Mm-hmm. And we just had this epiphany. Now, her and I are kind of on the same mindset. We're both pretty entrepreneurial, right?
Yeah.
And so we always dreamed that we would never work for somebody for the rest of our lives. We would do something like on our own at some point. Yeah. And this kind of started that journey for us, right? Yeah. This is the opportunity for us to do something that we both are passionate about. And it was something on our own. So she started Googling publications just to kind of see.
Really?
And one of the things that came up, one of the first things was Luxury Home Magazine.
Yeah.
And she reached out to Brad.
Yeah.
And connected with Brad. And not that long after, Brad responded.
Yeah.
And we had several phone calls.
You started dating.
We started dating. That's one of the things that stands out to me the most.
Yep.
Is one of the first phone calls with Brad. Brad goes, listen, I have to date you for a while.
Yep.
I've got to see if this is a good fit for us both.
Yep.
And we did, right over a period of months, we dated, quote unquote dated. And it was a good fit, and it was a good opportunity and just the right timing for us.
Yeah.
And the fact that we discovered Luxury Home Magazine and Brad and Kathy, I mean, it was amazing. It all kind of lined up.
Yeah.
And that's basically the beginning of how we kind of got the ball rolling, you know?
Who was were you the driving force that said we got to do this, or was it your wife? I'm curious.
I think it was a little bit of both of us, but it was definitely Jessica. She took the initiative to go out there and find out like what exists out there now, and like how do we get started. And she reached out to Brad, and that kind of got the ball rolling. So I would say the person that was the catalyst for that is probably Jessica.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out to, who you marry matters.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
You had an amazing wife.
Awesome wife.
I feel the same way. My wife was a driving force. She saw the need, and she knew that we could feel that need. You know what I mean? So she saw that right away, and she really wanted to reach out and make this thing happen. And then what it started to happen is I started to catch the dream, because I was teaching and consulting at the time.
Yeah.
I was an educational consultant. So for me, it was very foreign to think work for yourself, own a business, sell. Like that was
it was a lot
foreign to me,
it's a lot. Yeah.
So when you finally decide that you're going to pull the trigger, where was that? What time frame?
So when we decided, now this was during the time when we were talking with Brad. This was early 2012.
Okay, yeah.
Right, so everything progressed fairly quickly. Well, I'd say fairly quickly, but it was over a 6-8 8-month span, right?
Yeah.
We got everything ready. Both Jessica and I were working in banking at the time. She was with a middle tier bank, like in Charlotte. I was with a bigger bank in Charlotte at the time. And I was working in technology. And at the time, I would have to be on these software release calls, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which like took us like all throughout the weekend. I would basically like spend my weekend at the bank, like doing these calls, these releases. And I just like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, I want to get into something that I really enjoyed. So I left my job. The plan was for me to leave my job first.
Okay.
I left my job in December of that year.
2012?
2012.
Okay. So, and you and I met in October.
In October.
Right. Okay.
And so I was still working there.
Yeah.
And the plan was for me to do all the sales and everything, and she would help support everything else in the background. We got everything prepped, and we started the sales process in January of 2012.
Got it. Okay.
And then
13 or 12?
I'm sorry, 13.
13.
Yeah,
Got
13.
it. Okay.
Yeah. And then put out our first issue in April.
Do you remember your first issue?
I do. I do.
Did you get it delivered to your house
I
too?
got it delivered to my house, and I was so excited when we got it. Like, and you know, the thing that stood out to me the most was when Brad at your 10th anniversary last night, telling the story of you sitting down, and I mean that to me is like touching, right?
Yeah.
It's awesome. I remember that.
Oh yeah.
But when I got it, we were just so super excited, and we were exhausted. We felt like we worked hard to get to that point. And I remember sitting down on the stairs of our house, leading up to upstairs, and just thinking, wow, I can't believe like this is the reality of what we've accomplished like over this last year, you know?
Serious.
And we were both just so excited and emotional about it. And it was awesome. Andrew was born then. So
in 2013?
In 2012.
2012. That's great.
So he was born in 2012. So we had him. And it was just excited to have, and we have a picture of him holding the magazine with me sitting on the stairs. It was an amazing feeling. Yeah. Awesome.
That's cool. So now you fast forward 8 years in the game. You know, you started Charleston in what year?
We started Charleston, I think, 2 years after that.
2 years later? Yeah. Okay. Very similar to what we did with Austin.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were very close in timelines, like with you with San Antonio and Austin.
Yeah.
And we looked up to you. I remember like meeting you guys in the conference in California.
Yeah.
And we were just really impressed with everybody, but you guys really stuck out with your ideas and your energy and the passion. Like we could see it. We could feel it.
Yeah.
You know?
Thank you, man. Well, inspiring. Look, man, dude, like I said, who you marry matters.
It does.
I got an amazing wife. I outkick my coverage. Okay. And in all seriousness, like, right, like at the end of the day, like if you've got a really good partner, especially when you're trying to run a business, you can do things way beyond what you thought you could
Absolutely.
do. So like last night, the reason why you're here, we had our 10th anniversary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're celebrating. We got all our clients there. We got people there. And just to sit there, and I remember Christina's slogan, you know, luxury has arrived. We invite you to experience it. Incredible. That was on every gift.
Incredible. And I remember, like, when you said it, I remember seeing that.
Oh, man. I got goosebumps just thinking about that.
It all came flashing back for me, too. Like, I remember seeing, like, your first event video.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the incredible, like, food display.
Shout out to Chef Terry at the grill.
That's
there
right.
You go.
Yeah. So it was really incredible. And the gifts.
Yeah.
Right. Great idea. So I think we might have been maybe the first market to kind of start that after you guys came up with that idea.
Yeah, I think everybody was a little. It's a little scary. It's daunting, right, to think about it. But man, just you see the energy like last night. The energy that comes from it is pretty. Like you can feel it. It's momentum.
It is.
It's like serious momentum.
Yeah, and you know what? Like you could feel that the people there really appreciated what you did and what you've done for the market, right? Because it's been a game changer, right? In pretty much every market that we've been in, and you could feel the relationships that you've built, the trust and the love that people had for you at the event. I mean, it was really an incredible event.
Yeah.
And I'm really so excited just to be a part of it. So.
Yeah, I'm glad you were here. I got to give a shout out to Crystal. You didn't get to meet her last night. Crystal was she ran point on getting, like, everything you saw there.
Yeah.
Crystal ran point in making it happen.
Phenomenal.
Down from the alcohol to all the wine to the neon sign, the walls, all of that. She was incredible. So, Crystal, way to go. Great job.
Yeah.
I know you wanted to be there, but she wasn't feeling well. And I said, look, it's better for you to be better. Get better, so you can make us better. Continue to make us better. So we wanted her to be be well. That's what it's all about. So now, I think back right to when I started, Austin, you're a business owner, right? We're business owners. At the end of the day, we're publishers, but we're business owners. So I always like to ask a business owner, like, for you, what do you think is and you can't boil it down to one thing, but for you, what do you think has been able to help you be successful in your market and in Charleston and in Charlotte? What has helped you as a business owner be successful?
You know what? I think for us, it's the drive really to be like the best, right? Because there are other publications and there are other businesses out there that we compete with on a daily basis, right? And I think for us, and this has kind of been our philosophy really with anything that we do, it's to really do the absolute best job that we can in whatever it is we're doing, right? Whether we're working at a grocery store or a restaurant or a bank or like our own business. It's to really give it our all and be sure that we take care of our customers and our clients as if they were family, right? Mm-hmm. We want them to have like the best experience with us so that when they work with us, they realize that this is the best that they're going to get with this type of relationship. And we want people to remember the experience that they have with us. And for me, that's really one of the driving factors of success is building on those relationships and just knowing that they trust us with an integral part of their business, right? And we don't carry that lightly, and we want to make sure that we're successful for them. Because at the end of the day, if you're not successful and you don't do some of those things that are important to them, then, what do you have at the end of it, right? Yeah. Because they can go somewhere else and accomplish, some similar things, right, and advertise, right? So for us, it's really just giving them that next level experience and having like just that incredible relationship to keep the business moving forward. No,
seriously. Like, I remember Brad, preaching from day one. It's relationships, and we're solution providers. Yeah. Right. And Brad nailed that into my head. It's like, okay, how do we, provide the best solution? Yeah.
He's nailed that into a lot of people's heads.
Which is good.
And it is good because you know what? That is the key. Because if you aren't building those relationships and you aren't doing things for your clients that they otherwise would be getting somewhere else, or somebody else is doing a better job at taking care of your clients, then you're not going to have clients.
You're not going to have them.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
So obviously, as the hat, if we switch hats, right, we have obviously father, right? You've got three amazing little ones, three boys. And you have the father hat, you have the publisher hat, and then you have the CEO of this network of luxury publications.
Yeah, that's a big hat.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me, seriously, like Solar, what would you say to people that are listening to this and they're in a market that doesn't have Luxury Home Magazine? Hello, wake up, right? Like, if they're in a market, what would you say to them to say, hey, if I could just get in your ear, if you really want to understand, let me just tell you this.
I think the one thing I would say is that, Luxury Home Magazine, for us, it is a goal to continue to build on the brand and build on the business that Brad and Kathy have helped to establish, right? I think those are really hard shoes to fill. They're incredible people. Brad's a huge personality. He's been an instrumental part in, my professional growth as well, right? As well as yours, right?
Big mentor.
Big mentor, yeah. And I think, I want to make sure that we do continue to do the right things for the business, for a group of publishers, and make sure that we help make the publishers and the luxury home magazine brand successful. So I think for the other markets that would be interested in joining the group, my message to them is really, you're joining a really good group of people, like joining a really close-knit family.
Yep.
Right? And we are a powerful brand that I think will be successful in any market that we enter with the right people.
Yeah,
right?
that's so true.
And you're joining, I think, a great opportunity into a great family of publishers.
Yeah.
So that's really what I would say to that.
Yeah, I love that. It's true. I think that especially if you follow the strategic pattern that that Brad has helped us ingrain in us, and you follow that pattern. I remember training with Brad and Emil, and I remember sitting in that room. It was Brad, Christina, Emil, and them going through the steps. And I remember going, "How does anybody do this? This is a lot. This is a lot of work."
Yeah, it is.
But you know what? I think about that. I remember the drop sheet. Because. We put this sheet in the magazine and we deliver it to realtors.
Yep.
And the realtors get this, and 90% of them probably throw it away. But that drop sheet has evolved.
It has.
It's so much evolved. But that one sheet, I can't tell you how many times that one sheet has made a difference in us getting in an office.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And not only getting in an office, but portraying a message where people give us a call from it.
Right.
But I just thought, how do you send out 600 drop sheets?
It's a lot, and you're absolutely right. I mean, that's one key, powerful piece to what we do. But we have so many other aspects to what we do as well, right?
Right.
And equally important, if not more so important. But I will say this: it is hard work, right? You've started a market. I know I've started a market, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. It really is. But the work that you put into it, and you may agree, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, but it's on the other side of it. It's so, it's such an immense feeling of accomplishment after you've launched that market.
Yeah.
And it's just a different feeling, right? And I think the hard work that you put into it equals the benefits and the rewards that you get out of it after you accomplish what you set out to accomplish.
Serious.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked back, but to me, I thank Brad as much as possible because I feel like, this is an opportunity that was, given to us. And it's an amazing opportunity to be a part of the Luxury Home Magazine family. And it's, I can't be more proud of what we've been able to accomplish together and kind of where we're at today. So it is just an amazing feeling.
No, seriously. I look at, even my office, right? We got our new podcast studio here, right?
Love it.
We for my wife and I, that hard work has paid off. And what was evident last night is that, luxury has arrived. We invite you to experience it.
Yeah.
When I said that and I looked at that crowd at our 10th anniversary event last night, it was like, wow, it just came like
that.
It was like 10 years went by quick, but it was like the reality of what we put out into the universe was happening right in front of you.
Came into fruition. Yeah.
I mean, how nutty is that? It's crazy. I just get goosebumps thinking about it. But it's, like you said earlier, it's doing what we know we need to do, being consistent and persistent.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Being consistent and persistent. There's amazing things that can happen in the process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to wrap this up, Laura, I would say my question to you would be is like, what is it that keeps you focused? What is it that keeps you consistent and persistent?
I think the big thing that keeps me focused really is my obligation to my family. And not just like my family with Jessica and our boys, but my family of publishers too, right? Like, to me, that's a tremendous weight to carry and know that we've got to continue to develop and grow and innovate and make this even better moving forward, right? Because we're not a company that we want to be complacent in what we're doing, right? We want to continuously evolve and get better. And we want to make sure that we help our group of publishers and our whole entire brand evolve and get better. And so I feel like, to me, that's a tremendous weight. And that's really what drives me, is to make sure that we're successful for everybody, because I don't want this to, I don't want this to fail.
No, for sure.
Right? I want this to be successful, like, forever.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work, for us to kind of think about, the next steps with family, with the magazine, with, the corporate things. Yeah. So there's always a lot to think about, but I think what drives me really is just making sure that we continue to do the right things for everybody, for our LHM family, and for my family.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, listen, you have 3 boys, Andrew, Ben, and Matthew.
Yes.
They're going to see this on YouTube. You're going to be on YouTube.
They're going to love it. You know why?
Yeah.
They just got into YouTube.
Okay.
They want to have their own channel too.
Listen.
So I'm going to show them this.
Listen, you got to show it to them. So you're going to get a chance to talk to them right now. What would you tell your 3 boys right now? If you could share a message, you're like, Daddy's on YouTube. What are you going to tell them?
Matthew, Ben, Andrew, you could be sitting in that chair one day, be putting out some great content, but for them, it's probably video games related.
That's okay.
Or something. But you know what? This is it. This is the start. If Daddy can do it, you guys can do it.
100%. Solar, dude, I'm so glad you came to San Antonio. Thank you for being on TM3 Impact, my man.
Tomas,
we'll see you soon.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome,
Appreciate
man.
it.
We'll see you.